Hello, hello, it's me, your favorite Domina. Well, I like to think so. It's Mistress April, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So I really hope now that we're starting chapter 3 that I have a few more followers out there and that you're enjoying it from the comments that I've seen so far. I think you are. Thank you, everybody. Soon we're going to have a question and answer session where I will take all of your questions and I will answer them, and at least you have some feedback. Good. So this time we are delving into chapter 3. Chapter 3 is all about appearance, protocol, and chastity. As I said, chapter 3 is all about appearance, protocol, and chastity. So now in chapter 2 we signed the contract. And now in chapter 3 is where the contract leaves the paper and enters your daily life. This is about total commitment, and that starts with the submissive's appearance and presentation. Appearance as reflection. What does a submissive's appearance have to do with their service, you might ask? Isn't that just vanity? Well, not at all. The submissive's appearance is a direct reflection of the mistress standards and leadership. It is the dominant's prerogative how to dictate how her submissive will look. This isn't about personal vanity. It's about mindful dedication and honoring the relationship. You want to look perfect, don't you? I know you do. So, what is the underlying goal of dictating the submissive's grooming? I hear you ask. The goal is continuous awareness and self-discipline. If the submissive is required to maintain an exact grooming standard, whether it is a closely shaved haircut or smooth skin, they must always be thinking about their service and their mistress's expectations every single day. So therefore they need to focus on how they look. This constant attention reinforces the mistress's control. What about clothing? Why do dominants often dedicate a strict dress code? Well, in true service dynamic, clothing is sometimes viewed as a privilege and not a right. The submissive's attire should reinforce the differential, the difference in status between the mistress and the submissive. We want to know who's who, right? Besides, we like it when you're dressed a little bit, half naked. This means a strict uniform or even no clothing indoors, simply to maintain the vulnerability and focus. It's all about keeping you in the headspace. This visual distinction is crucial to reinforcing this dynamic. If you're constantly doing it, you're constantly feeling it. Training for excellence. Once the submissive has dedicated themselves, what is the fundamental psychological goal of the training process? The primary goal is humility and unwavering attention to detail. We want somebody who's no ego, who focuses on themselves and looks at the detail. The submissive must be trained to live up to the mistress's expectations and to high exacting standards in everything that they do. It's about perfection in servitude. Perfection in servitude. But how do you train perfection in a healthy way? It's achieved through constant, focused correction. That means the mistress enforces her standards by being ultra-critical of the submissive's performance and demeanor. This might involve repeating a task until it's satisfactory or correcting the posture and respectful positions. Every correction teaches the submissive that his mistress means business. And I mean business. This effort at the start brings rewards, making focused service second nature to the submissive. Repetitive training, focus, do it again, do it right. How does intense training simplify the life of the mistress? I hear you ask. Thorough training ensures that the submissive knows exactly what is required of them for routine acts of service. You must never question what you must do next. This allows the mistress to simply issue commands like tea, and the submissive executes it, the entire thing, with obedience, the preparation, the serving, without needing further instructions. So if I said tea, you should know exactly what you need to do and how. This makes the life very easy for the dominant. Very little else to do. Beyond actions, how does the mistress train the submissive's mind? Through speech training, postures, and positions. The submissive is taught to use only specific words and phrases, and never referring to themselves as I, but using formal terms like your slave or it. They also learn to express gratitude for every decision. Posture, like kneeling with your knees widespread or holding a specific position, reinforces your status and helps conditioning you to act in a way that the mistress commands. We're not doing it for fun. We're doing it because we want to discipline and get a good slave, right? Chastity and control. Finally, let's discuss one of the most powerful tools in service: sexual denial. Why is controlling the submissive's orgasm so effective? Well, it is the core belief within the DS relationship that if you control the submissive's sexual release, you control the submissive. Orgasm denial keeps the submissive in a heightened state of submission. A sexually fulfilled male is often seen as lazy or disrespectful, while a denied slave keeps their desire to serve at maximum level. See, there's method to our madness. What is the psychological impact of denial? I hear you are. Well, it serves as a constant reminder that the submissive's sexual desire, like everything else, is the property of the mistress. The submissive knows that pleasing their mistress in every aspect of service is their only path to potential sexual release. And denying the submissive's orgasm is a real power rush for the dominant. I can attest to this. So, I hope you enjoyed that part. So, from the haircut to the vocabulary, and from the posture to the release, this lifestyle is about total, intentional dedication. The purpose of these protocols is to create a dynamic where the submissive is constantly reminded of their devotion and the mistress's authority, making service effortless. This level of control over the self, over the appearance, over the body, over the basic urges, this is what makes dedication so profound. And I think this is what a lot of you yearn for. But what happens when, despite all of this training, the submissive still makes mistakes? How does this dominant use this absolute control for corrective teaching? Wow. I think you need to tune in for chapter 4 to find out all about that. In chapter 4, we move on to the hard truth of the relationship, discussing the power of discipline, guidance, growth, and correction. Guidance, growth, and correction. We will explore how the consequences are used to reinforce structure without causing harm. Maybe sometimes. So click subscribe at the bottom. Turn on your notifications so you know when chapter 4 is coming. And make sure that you leave a comment. I want to hear from you. For those who practice grooming protocols, here's a question. What is the one ritual that makes you feel the most powerful or the most dedicated? Again, what is the one ritual that makes you feel the most dedicated. Make sure you leave your answers below and let's start the conversation. Thank you once again for joining me, Mistress April, on your educational journey as being a submissive, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Remember, be ethical, be deliberate, and be prepared to serve. Bye-bye.